Good evening, YouTube. Today I'm bringing you a battle against Smogon user Android27. In my honest opinion, this battle really wasn't that good due to the ending score, but it's really the best battle out of the 7 battles that I've had today because 4 people ended up disconnecting and 2 people ended up forfeiting, or vice versa. But I'm really just getting tired of Smogon University because so many people only play to win, and they get like so angry and they act so childish when they lose with forfeiting and disconnecting. And I've just about had it since I play to have fun, and a lot of people ask me why do I complain so much about it if I got the win. I complain about it because I don't just play to win, I play to also have fun, and having to worry about people disconnecting during every single match, that's not very fun. And I don't think that I'm arrogant either because I don't disconnect either. Like, I got destroyed twice today. The first match was a 4-0, and then the second match was a 3-0, so I get destroyed too. But I don't run or forfeit because I'm a grown man and I know how to take the loss like a man. And of course what you're supposed to be doing is having a Pokemon battle, of course. Of course you're trying to win, you're supposed to defeat your opponent, but I believe you should still have fun in the process. So if any of my viewers know of a website where people just play to have fun, please let me know because I'm getting ready to leave Smogon. But now to give you a quick team review. Only Pokemon on his team that I really see to be a major threat are the Machamp and the Volcarona. My Genesect can really much 2-hit KO everything else on his team, so he's really going to have to play cautious around my Genesect. Like, if Espeon does faint, then Sableye can checkmate the Swampert and the Skarmory. But here I was thinking that he's probably knowing that I'm going to begin with Genesect, so he'll most likely begin with his Volcarona or his Skarmory. But since I'm Scarfed, it's actually okay. So as you can see here, I do lead with the Genesect, but he actually leads with the Espeon, which kind of caught me off guard for some reason. But I stay in because I figured that even if he was Scarfed, it wasn't going to be that big of a deal. So he ends up switching out, and U-turn does a heaping ton of damage to the quadruple resisted Volcarona, so I just send in the Dragonite because I just want to try and Dragon Dance sweep as many things early in the battle. So I go for the first Dragon Dance, knowing that he would send in the Skarmory. And here I'm just going to go for the Fire Punch, thinking that it would do about half, but that's about 47% damage. And then he's wearing a Rocky helmet, which was kind of unexpected. Here I take a risk going for the Dragon Dance again, knowing that it'll most likely have the Whirlwind, since just about every Skarmory has Whirlwind. But instead he just goes for the Roost, so that was a good play on his part, because Fire Punch still won't do enough to really phase the Skarmory, and now he's going to go ahead and go for the Whirlwind. And I was hoping Genesect came in here, but instead of Donphin, like the worst Pokemon that could possibly come in on this Skarmory, switches in. But now for some reason he switches in thinking I'm going for the Stealth Rock, so I make a prediction into my Genesect, forcing his Espeon back out, since my rule is when Espeon's alive, don't even try and put up any entry hazards. So here I'm just going to go for the U-turn. I was tempted to go for the Flamethrower just in case he brought in his Skarmory, but I don't want to over-predict too early. Plus Gladys Knight's Fire Punch at this range should be able to take out the Skarmory anyway. So Skarmory finally faints. Gladys Knight got taken to about half. That was pretty critical damage, but it's okay with me because now I can just send in Queen Vexus and take the possible fake out from the Ambipom, but instead he goes for the double hit. I don't see normal gem or life orb, so I was thinking, well, what could its item be? And what do you know, it happens to be Focus Sash, so he's gonna go for another double hit, hoping that it takes out Queen Vexus, but she survives with 4 HP, so That's looking pretty good for me. I'm not quite sure why he switched here. I would have just let the Ambipom faint, then allowed the Volcarona to come in. As Volcarona took about like 28% damage, and here I just stay in because he's got spikes up, and it's kind of like I can't switch Queen Vexus in anymore, and I was like thinking here, if he's modest, then I'm going to destroy him, so he'd best hope that he's timid. And as you can see here, he is timid, so he will outspeed by like 2 points. And he got a crit, so I'm glad I didn't switch out anyway, because that would have probably been a one-hit KO to just about anything on my team. So now I can go ahead and send in Gladys Knight to extreme speed him, which he said caught him off guard. He would have switched out if he knew it was coming, and do his Swampert. And he sends him a champ, and I'm like, I know he's got either Ice Punch or Stone Edge, but from this point I don't really care. I'm just gonna Outrage to get as much damage off of him. That way, the next Pokemon that I send in will be able to KO the Machamp. So now I'm just gonna send in the Gold Mine, and I was like thinking, well, he's probably gonna end up switching out, so I'm gonna actually make a double switch. But he ends up just going for the Stone Edge. He didn't really care about his Machamp from this point. So that's fine, and now he expects the Iron Head, so now he's going to switch out his Machamp into his Swampert. So I was like, okay, that's interesting plays there, and the Zen Headbutt does more damage than I should have done to the normal, physically bulky Swampert, and this U-turn also does more damage than it normally does, so I'm assuming that this Swampert's like either a mixed tank or he's specially defensive. So I was like, well, I guess it's not too big of a deal, because I'm just going to send in Gold Mine to take the Earthquake, since this is my physical wall for this team. And here I know that he's going to switch out into Espeon, thinking that I'm going to taunt, so I'm just going to go for Recover, just to, keep Gold Mine alive, and get her back to max health. Now here I'm thinking that he's probably going to like go for, Reflect, Light Screen, the standard set. But he actually has Trick on the Espeon, so I was thinking, that's pretty interesting. That's interesting, but it doesn't really bother me because I'm just going to still use U-turn, knowing that he's going to switch next turn anyway. If he has Calm Mind, there's no point in him trying to set up anyway right now. So I can send Gold Mine back in. And here I make some pretty, I guess, shady moves. I could have made some better moves from this point, but he's going to go for the Yawn, which I didn't expect. I thought that he probably had Roar or something, and I thought he would switch in his Espeon. That's why I did not go for the Will-O-Wisp, and I didn't want to over-predict. And then here I go for the Will-O-Wisp because I'm like, well, if he switches Espeon in, I'd rather be burned than go to sleep. But it actually misses, so I was like, well, that's pretty unfortunate. I didn't get burned, and Swampert didn't get burned, so here I'm just going to stay in because I was hoping that maybe Sableye would wake up or something and get off a burn or a recover before it faints, but it actually ends up staying asleep, so Sableye somewhat died in vain, I guess. But it's actually okay, because now I can just go ahead and send in the Gyarados to attempt to sweep the rest of his team. And from this one I just go for the Substitute because I wasn't really sure if he had Roar. I was thinking that he did, but I was like, well, let me just go for it to bait him into doing it. That way I'll know how to appropriately counter. But since he withdraws, I know that he does not have Roar. So I'm just going to go for the Bounce here, knowing that he's going to switch. I don't see the point of Dragon Dancing just yet. I want to make sure that once I Dragon Dance, that's the end of the game. So he sends in his Machamp as Death Fodder. I'm not quite sure why. I would have just let the Ambipom faint. But then again, he is faster and he does have double hit, so that does make a lot of sense now that I look back at it. And double hit did quite a bit of damage, so I was thinking maybe it was Choice Band because that was like 100 damage per hit. And from this point on, it's really the end of the game. I'm like, he has nothing that can stop Red Lobster from, well, going to town, as they say. And the ending score, as you can see here, is 3-0. That's why I don't think the battle was that great. But it's really the best battle that I had out of all the people who forfeited and disconnected. And as you're going to see here, he also does forfeit. So Good game, I guess. This is Unhappy Carousel, signing out. Please have a nice day. YouTube.